Something horrible happens to you or to your company. How do you deal with social media to fix it? Brent Carney is a communications expert, and welcome to the Language of Business.
Pleasure to be here.
Is it possible to have a social media strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. But it really isn't necessarily about the social media aspect. It's about knowing who you're trying to communicate with, knowing your audience. That's the number one key to success in social media, because it's how you figure out if you're actually being successful with your overall plan long term. It helps you to determine which social media platform to be on. Knowing your audience is the place you need to start to really build that strategy. Without that, you really have nothing to work with.
But when you talk about social media strategy, it's like talking about the cloud.
Oh, absolutely. It's this concept that's just out there, but people really don't know what it means. We like to focus on analytics and making sure that works. And that's something a lot of smaller businesses really struggle with. They are on social media, they do it, but they don't really see any benefit. They don't know what they're getting out of it. And a lot of times it's because they don't ever look at the analytics. And being on there and being able to see month over month, quarter over quarter, are you making progress, where you're going? Those are things you need to do, because if it's not working, that will tell you, and then you can change your strategy. But again, going back to the audience as being kind of that linchpin, you need to be able to make sure you're reaching the right person, because if it's not your customer that you're reaching somebody in Idaho when you really want to reach somebody on the Cape, that's a problem, and you need to change what you're doing to make it right.
How often should you study your analytics?
Well, I look at analytics for the companies that I work with really on a daily or weekly basis. But I take that with a grain of salt, because there can be so many ebbs and flows in what the analytics show. You have one post that you put up there that catches fire and goes viral, that can skew everything. So you really want to have a longer term view of it. Look month over month, really quarter over quarter, and judge your progress that way. Don't judge it week by week or day by day. They're pieces of the puzzle, but they're not. You need to look at the whole picture to be able to really be understanding where you're going.
Are all aspects of social media created equally?
No, and that's why I say audience is so important. Every one of these platforms, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, they have different purposes in your overall strategy. So if you're trying to engage with influencers, Twitter's the right platform for you. If you're trying to reach millennials, 7 out of 10 millennials are using Snapchat. They're the place to go for that. But understanding your audience, understanding your goals will help point you in the right direction. Do 1 or 2 of these platforms really, really well before you start to think about spreading out into other areas.
So you're not advocating an 8-pronged social media strategy?
If you're a major corporation, yes. If you're a small business, start with Facebook, get it done, do it right, then branch out from there depending on when your audience is.
The fact that all of them are ostensibly free, good or bad?
Well, they're not free, because the reality is, let's take Facebook as an example. Studies are showing that only between 13 and 30% of your audience is seeing any given post you put up. They have these analytics behind the scenes of their workings on their website that block people from seeing what you post. You need to put in a budget to advertise on all of these social media channels. You need to be putting money behind Facebook ads. You need to be putting money on Twitter as part of your marketing program. Standing alone and doing posts, it's nice. It's not going to be as effective as it could be. And really, it's short money. You can hit a target and be very specific with that target for just a little bit of money compared to some other advertising platforms that could cost a lot more money.
What do you consider to be a great return on investment?
I look specifically to make sure that if your audience that you're trying to focus on is interacting with your page, are they sharing posts on Facebook? Not just liking them, but are they sharing them and commenting on them? Is your audience retweeting you on Twitter or tweeting back at you? Are the people you're trying to look at engaged with you or not?
Is there such a thing these days as bricks and mortar social media?
When you look at what social media has become, it's a foundation of its own. It used to be that your website was your foundation. Companies have now gone strictly to social media, and that's becoming kind of their platform to run off of. So it's an essential business tool now. If you're not doing those things, you're missing opportunities. So developing a strategy, getting it down, doing it, being realistic about your own resources. If you don't have the manpower to do enough photographs that are captivating to do Snapchat, don't do it. Do the ones you can with the resources you have, and be realistic to yourself about what that is.
Brent, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Brent Carney, communications expert.